The RuneScape map is split into chunks. I will restrict myself to unlocking one chunk at a time, only moving on when I've completed all of the content in my current chunks. The goal of this account is to unlock the entire map. This is ChunkManOnly, my one chunk at a time Iron Man. We left off last episode training our attack and strength, trying to reach 65 in each so that we can enter the Warriors Guild. In the last video, I had mentioned that going to the Warriors Guild chunk is one part of a big, long-term plan, but that I'd save the explanation of the plan for this episode. So now it's time to explain the plan. Before I can do that though, there's a few things that this plan relies on that I need to explain first. First of all, there are a few small rule changes that I believe are necessary for the account to progress in the future, and they just make more sense than my previous rules for these things. First off, let's talk about caves. For the duration of this account, if we unlocked an entrance to an underground area, then the entire area has been unlocked. This rule makes sense with most caves, but there's a few caves in the game that are absolutely huge and have multiple entrances. An example would be that the Edgefield Dungeon and the Varrock Sewers are connected via an agility shortcut, which makes them technically one cave. Another example is the Dwarven Mine, which is huge on its own and has multiple entrances, but is also connected via minecarts to Keldagrim. This leaves a bit of ambiguity in the rules. Is Keldagrim unlocked with the Dwarven Mine and vice versa? Are the Varrock Sewers unlocked with the Edgefield Dungeon? Where's the line drawn here? After talking with some people in my stream, we decided that it makes the most sense for a cave to be considered in two different chunks if there are multiple entrances, and the cave is separated by some boundary that you can't walk between, such as the pipe shortcut or the minecarts. This means that Keldagrim and the Dwarven Mine, as well as the Varrock Sewers and Edgefield Dungeon, are considered to be in separate chunks. While this first rule change is mainly just a bit of clarification, the next rule change is more significant in my opinion, and is a direct change. The way that my Slayer rules work is that if I've unlocked a Slayer monster that I don't have the level for, I must continue to skip tasks if possible in order to try to get tasks that I can complete, to train the skill. This skipping included Turiel skips as well. After talking with some people in my chat, we realized that Turiel is so incredibly far behind other Slayer masters in terms of XP per hour, that it would add potentially hundreds or thousands of hours to my Slayer grind if I was forced to use Turiel skips whenever possible. To explain this, imagine that I unlocked Cerberus and had Turiel and Neve unlocked. Now imagine I have every Turiel task available to me, but only a few of the Neve tasks I can actually access. This would mean that I would be forced to get 91 Slayer with basically only Turiel tasks. This does not sound reasonable to me at all, and if I wasn't required to use Turiel skips, I would instead be forced to unlock the chunks with whatever Neve task I got assigned. This to me seems much more reasonable, so for this reason, I am no longer forced to use Turiel skips to train Slayer. The final thing I need to explain before we can get to the plan isn't really a rule change as much as it is creating a rule for something I hadn't had a rule for in the past. In Puro, there are Implings of every type up to Lucky Implings. However, at each Impling spawn location, there's a random chance that certain types of Implings will appear. There are low-level Impling spawns and high-level Impling spawns, which will spawn a random low or high-level Impling. If a creature doesn't spawn at a location 100% of the time, and they don't have a loot that's a 100% drop rate, should I be considering these drops to be secondary or tertiary? If you need a quick refresher on what secondary and tertiary drops mean, you can check out my rules video. After discussion with my Twitch chat, and because of the reason that there's 2 layers of RNG instead of just 1, I would consider these drops to be tertiary. There's one exception though. There's at least one location in Puro which has a 100% spawn chance of eclectic Implings. If the information I've been told is correct, this is the only Impling that has a 100% spawn location, so the loot from the Eclectics would be considered secondary, but the loot from all the other Implings would be considered tertiary. So with these rule changes and clarifications out of the way, now I can explain my new long-term plan. I'm going to walk you through the theory crafting we did with the Twitch chat by starting with the end of the plan and then working our way backwards through all the steps until we get to where we are now. The end goal of this plan is to unlock Xanaris, which would give me access to a huge weapon upgrade, the Dragon Longsword. If I were to unlock Xanaris though, remember that the loot from Eclectic Implings would be considered secondary, so the loot can force me into a grind. As it turns out, the Eclectic Implings drop adamant ore. Well, damn, if you've seen any of my videos before, you know that this would be a goal for after Motherlode Mine. It just wouldn't make sense for me to train smithing without the mine, right? Well, since Keldegrim isn't considered to be in the same chunk as the mine, I could actually unlock Blast Furnace before the Motherlode Mine. The highest level ore in Keldegrim is Mithril, so that's no problem. It's not an obstacle for unlocking it. There's one obstacle in Keldegrim though that would be a fairly long grind. There's a gem stall. This would require me to get level 75 thieving. Currently my best thieving method is Master Farmers. I wouldn't want to do Master Farmers all the way to 75 if I could avoid it. Wouldn't it make more sense for me to unlock something like Blackjacking first to get significantly better XP per hour? So that's exactly what I'll do. Before Keldegrim, we'll go to Paldemnich, complete the feud, and unlock Blackjacking. Completing the feud will also give us access to the Ali Morrisane rune shop, which, among other things, sells law runes, nature runes, and cosmic runes. This makes the lack of unlocking the Wizard's Guild last episode not hurt much at all. Well, okay, this is fine and all, but Paldemnich also has a rooftop course requiring level 70 agility. This isn't really that big of a problem because I have Sears Village unlocked, which is the best course for me to train on. So I set out with this plan and started training agility at Sears Village, that being the first step along the way. Very quickly though, I kept running out of energy and failing the course. This got me thinking I could be getting the Graceful set along the way of doing this. That would just be so great for the account in every aspect, saving so much run energy. So I thought about it and found out a way to get the Graceful set. Getting the set would require going into the chunk with the Warriors Guild, so before I unlocked any chunks, I wanted to get 65 attack and strength. A quick note before we go on, in the gameplay clips you'll see in this episode, there's going to be overlays from my Twitch streams. I forgot to turn them off when I recorded my gameplay, but for the next video onwards, you shouldn't see that too much. I hope it's not too distracting this episode. You saw me killing sand crabs at the end of last episode, but I decided to make it a bit more interesting and do some training at Varrock Guards and try to juggle some medium clues, just to test my luck. I got 2 steps that I didn't have access to yet, but were in chunks with no requirements for me, so along the way, I unlocked the main Brimhaven chunk and 2 chunks south of Relica, just to complete the clues. I ended up completing 2 mediums with less than stellar rewards. Once I had gotten the level requirements, the first chunk I unlocked was the Eastern Catherby chunk. Here, there's a grapple shortcut, a range shop that sells Runeara tips, and a lot of things to fish. Thankfully, I had all these requirements done already, so there was nothing for me to grind for. The next chunk was the White Wolf Mountain chunk. Here, I started the fishing contest quest and killed the Ice Queen for the Ice Gloves drop. Next, I unlocked the chunk with the Warriors Guild. In this chunk, I would need to get access to the Warriors Guild and get a Dragon Defender and Rune Fullhelm from the Cyclopses. There was only a small section of this chunk that I could walk to, however, so I couldn't actually get to the guild itself. This means that the Warriors Guild grind was on the backlog until I could actually access it. Thankfully, it was easy to get access to. Because the Birthorpe chunk is adjacent to one we already have unlocked, and it's accessible because we can teleport to the games room, this means that I'm able to unlock the chunk. Usually, teleports don't mean that I can unlock a chunk. However, since it's adjacent and accessible, even if only by teleport, it is allowed. Once I unlocked the Birthorpe chunk, I had a lot of things to do. I needed to get the Rune Fullhelm and Dragon Defender and do part of the Death Plateau quest. I also decided that even though it technically isn't a requirement by my rules, I wanted to get the Rogue set and Full Graceful as well. I think it makes sense to get items that are best in slot in certain situations, so for now I decided to get these items before I moved on. Along with all of these grinds in this chunk, there was one comment on my last video that changes things for me. Angder pointed out to me that I unlocked the Sorceress's Garden a long time ago and completely ignored it. I've never done this minigame in my life and was not even aware that the Prince Ali Rescue quest unlocks it. Apparently there's something called Squirk Juice in this minigame that requires level 65 thieving to obtain. Thankfully, there are 3 types of squirk juice, and the second one boosts thieving plus 2, so I would be able to complete this requirement with only 63 thieving. Regardless, this is something that I should have done forever ago. When I completed Prince Ali Rescue, my best thieving method was Master Farmers. Thankfully, it's still my best thieving method, so that's what I'm going to be doing. Even though I can get the Rogue's outfit now, I want to do this grind as if I would have done it earlier when I should have. So for that reason, I won't be using the Rogue's outfit until I get level 63 thieving and obtain the highest level squirk juice from the Sorceress's Garden. This is definitely the biggest mistake on my account so far, and I'm very glad it was pointed out to me in the comments. So, Engadur, thanks for letting me know, otherwise I may not have noticed this until after I unlocked blackjacking, and could have ruined the integrity of the account even more. I really appreciate comments like this. So now that we know all of what I need to do in this chunk, it was time to start grinding. First, I killed Cyclopses to get defenders. I ended up going way over the drop rate for defenders and getting some strange rare drop table drops along the way, but I ended up finally getting the Dragon Defender. After that, I trimmed up my thieving to level 50 at the Master Farmer, and then went to get the Rogue's outfit. My RNG ended up turning around here, as I got the whole set in 9 runs, when each piece is supposed to be 1 out of 8. After getting the Rogue's outfit, I couldn't actually use it yet for thieving, because of the reasons I mentioned earlier. So from here on, I would need to get full Graceful and 63 thieving before I could move on from this chunk. So I switched between the skills and kept grinding. And that's all the progress I have for this episode. I'm currently level 56 thieving and need to get 63 before I can move on. We'll finish that up next episode and keep working towards the new long-term goal of getting to Xanaris by first going to Paul Niche. As soon as this video goes live, I'm going to be streaming on twitch.tv/Pelipper with 3Ps. Well, there's really 4 Ps since there's one at the beginning, but you know what I mean. The streams have been going really well and it's been a ton of fun. I hope to see some of y'all there. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons, Kyle Berry and Boogie Boy. They've both been regulars in the streams as well, and have been extremely supportive. Kyle helped me figure out the Rogue's Den and is always helping me theorycraft, and Boogie Boy has been dropping me more bits and gift subs than I can count, along with having the best emote collection in existence on Twitch. Along with my 2 patrons, thanks so much to everybody that's been tuning into the streams and supporting me. It means a ton, and I appreciate all of you so much. It's been growing more than I could have imagined, and I'm more motivated than ever to keep producing content. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like and subscribe to the channel. You can find links to my Twitch, Discord, Twitter, and Patreon in the description. And with the sellout section of this video done with, I'll see you all next episode, or in the live stream. Hope you all have a great day.